Hi, it's Thursday afternoon, and this is your weekly shout out. I again have missed a couple weeks since this was done, and want to just talk a little bit about what's going on in the department. There's been a lot of work by Tracy and Lisa and the rest of the team on year-end reconciliation, and they're trying to wrap up the 15-16 books so that we're prepared to close this fiscal year by our September 15th deadline. Zena has been working with our analyst team on getting some clear direction on carryover, both general and one-time. And there's already received some requests for some specific carryover for immediate needs. Many of you know that we got the budget adopted back on June 14th. And since then, there's been a flurry of activity, and I want to appreciate Eric and Tracy and Zena for working with Penimation and our friends on how to upload the budget. And all the analysts and the departments are really excited that we're going to have the budget loaded into the system here by July 15th. There's been a lot of activity going on with evaluations. Management evaluations and performance plans are due by June 30th. And I'm happy to say that all of our evaluations and performance plans for next fiscal year have been submitted to HR. We've got some new people who are joining us, and Miguel has brought on a new network administrator. And we have other people that continue to assimilate into the organization. And speaking of new people, there's work going on right now with our space planning to try to look at how we're going to accommodate the new positions in the department. We did receive a preliminary report from David Atherny, who over in Public Works, and they provided a report on some 3 different options for reconfiguring the finance area to accommodate both finance and IT. And Kelly Medina, while I'm gone on vacation, is going to be working with folks to figure out how we're going to get the lead and put in motion essentially all of the computers and the desk configurations that we need to accommodate new staff. Speaking of new staff, many of you are probably interested about last week's interview for the finance director. I want to thank everyone who came in and gave their Saturday up to talk to the candidates. We're in the process right now of doing background, and I'm hoping that while I'm away that Katie might be able to share information with the team. I want to appreciate Marjorie and Steve and everyone else in IT and the rest of the finance staff for this morning's send-off of Simon. Simon has done a great job with EnerGov and assisted us with a lot of the progress that we've made. And they showed me a pretty cool tool this morning that will be showed to CDD here, which is a neat little timeline dashboard that shows the permit activity and really speaks to the innovation that both Simon and Eric have been working on for the last year, and to their perseverance in getting that project to move along. What's going on in IT is, and this is a little bit old, this is last week's news, and I didn't have a chance to touch base with Steve, so I'm sure there's been stuff that's been going along since then. We've repaired and made upgrades to the city's public wireless system. We have made some changes and installed the Ectron ShareLink system down in finance. So if you have a laptop or a phone, you now can show on your phone up on the screen if you download the app, and talk to Miguel or Steve if you have questions about that. We upgraded the backup system and reconfigured it for longer backups. Steve this week and Miguel gave a presentation on department head new tools, particularly laptops, and Garrett and I got our laptops last week, and I'm happy to say that it's a massive improvement over the Surface that I've been working on over the last 9 months. We've seen Dawn already deployed to help out with wildfires by analyzing infrared images and creating maps. And then Nicola and Mary continue to support the police department in doing crimes analysis. And on the EnerGov side, we now have really filled in the holes in terms of our legacy data in EnerGov. And I think the next step for the team is to work on the Citizens Access Portal. So everyone is gearing up for the summer. There's going to be a lot of vacations, and I want to appreciate both the finance and IT team who've done a great job thinking about holes and gaps in our customer service, and they've made some adjustments to allow people to take time away and spend time with their family and friends. What's happening on the city council side and is that I mentioned the budget got approved on the 14th. Along with that was the urban water management plan, which was a big step for the city, and it demonstrates to the community about how the city is planning to provide water to new and future development. And it took into consideration changing climate conditions. It was a great piece of teamwork by utilities. And Aaron Floyd and Jennifer Metz and Michael Borman did a great job. Looking ahead, on the 12th of July, we've got a presentation of the police department update by Chief Cantrell. And then that night we've got 12 consent items and no regular business items. The council will be convening into closed session to discuss the labor negotiations later in the evening. But the items on the consent that night are the Jennifer Street sewer lateral, the railroad trail maintenance, Caltrans cooperative agreement, and then a resolution authorizing our fire and life safety inspection fees for 2015 and 2016. Marjorie identified that we had a clerical error in submitting our fees last year, and so we need to make a correction so we can fully collect the fees for 15-16. Moving on to the 19th, we've got a few new introductions. We've got Scott Lee, who's our new parking manager, who's going to be introduced, along with Adam Fukushima. And then on consent, we've got a few items, which is an RFP for our communications consultant, which council approved as part of the Efficiency and Organizational Effectiveness SOPC. And then we've got a review and approval of a lease agreement for Court Street office space, which is being brought forward by the Community Development Department. That night, we've also got adoption of box art policy revisions by Parks and Rec. And then on August 16th, after a much-needed break, we bring back a couple planning items. And the big items that night on the 16th are the Wharf Project DIR and the Laguna Lake Dredging Project, and then our unclaimed checks policy, which Vilma has been working on with other folks. And then CDD is going to round out the night with a presentation, our public facilities financing framework, which is a precursor and a step to revising our development impact fees. I'm going to be heading out of the office for a couple of weeks to go off to Oregon. It's an annual trip that my family and I have done for the past 4 years, and appreciate the opportunity to get away. And so while I'm away, Vilma is going to be acting as department head for the finance team. Lee Johnson will be acting as department head for administration. We've worked out the details, Zena, in terms of city manager reports and bars and cars. And Zena will be stepping in for finance on city manager reports, and Vilma will be there to take a look at a review of budget amendment requests and approval of POs. I'll have my laptop, trying not to check in too much to be connected to work, and Vilma's got my phone number if for some reason folks need to reach out to me, but otherwise I'll see you back in the office on the 19th. Thanks, everyone, and have a safe and sane 4th of July, and looking forward to kicking off the next fiscal year.